our beginner series videos for Granny B's Old Fashioned Paints. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to paint melamine. A lot of you have melamine in your home, usually on your kitchen cabinets or in your bathroom, on your cabinets for your vanities, or built-in cupboards in your rooms. It's so simple and easy to do to change this up. Instead of ripping everything out, we're going to show you exactly how to transform the melamine into something really beautiful using Granny B's Old Fashioned Paints. Okay, so here I have my sample board of melamine. This has a faux wood finish to it, and it is sort of glossy. It has a little bit of texture, but it is glossy. So what you want to do are two things, and it's up to you which method you want to do. You can take a Zinsser primer, the bullseye primer, and put this on here, or you can go right to it with the paint. And before you do that, with either the primer or the paint, you want to give it a nice light sand to degloss the surface. So I'm just going to use a lighter grit sandpaper. This is 100 grit, and I'm going to make sure that I evenly sand all over the surface, not too heavily, but nice and lightly. And then once I do that, I'm ready to either add my primer or my Granny B's Old Fashioned Paint. If you use a primer like Zinsser or a melamine primer, please follow the instructions on the back of the cans. You will also find that if you want to put a nice rich color such as red over the surface, the primer will help that color pop even more, but it is not necessary. So it is completely up to you and how you want to paint your melamine. Now that I've sanded, I'm just going to take a damp cloth and wipe away any of the debris or dirt that the sandpaper may have caused from the sanding. If you have a larger piece of melamine that you need to prepare, you can certainly use a sanding machine, or an orbital sander or vibrating sander will work as well. Just make sure that you put a lighter grit sandpaper onto your surface. Okay, so I'm wiping off all the dust, and then I'm going to let it dry or dry it with another cloth. And it's ready to go. Now I can go right ahead and apply my paint layer because now it's prepped and ready. And once I feel it, I can feel that it's a little rougher than it was before. So that's going to be really nice for the chalk paint to stick to adhere to. And the Granny B's Old Fashioned Chalk Paint has amazing adhesion qualities, so it really can stick to so many different surfaces. That's what makes it so unique and so amazing to use. So now I've got this all set, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is apply my first coat of paint. So I'm just going to grab my brush and go right ahead over it. This is Icicle Blue. It's a really beautiful light blue color. And I chose this color because it'll go really nicely over this color as well. There's no need to prime. And you can see how beautifully the paint is going on, so smooth. And I'm just using my brush here. This is a Hamilton synthetic brush, which I really love. I feel that it helps apply the paint in nice and evenly and smoothly. But it's always a different preference depending on what you like. Some people prefer the natural bristle brushes, which is absolutely fine as well. And you can also use the Granny B's foam roller kit to apply this paint very easily, especially, like I said before, if you're going to be going over a larger surface area, like a large built-in cabinet or maybe your kitchen cabinets, you can certainly do that as well. But you can see the coverage and how beautifully this paint is going on. So now what I'm going to do is finish adding my color, and I'm going to let it dry for about an hour. And then what I'm going to do next is add my sealer of choice. Here is another sample board that I painted before, and I wanted to show you what the before looked like. It was a very dark piece, very dingy. And I had to apply 2 coats of the Icicle Blue Granny B's paints to it, which was fine. And you can see how beautifully it looks now, and I didn't use any primer. But I just wanted to show you an example of how the look is going to be with 2 coats over a dark color. And here's our original sample board with just 1 coat of the icicle blue. So you can see the coverage is completely amazing. Primer is not always necessary because the chalk-like finish paint acts as a primer itself. And it will adhere to that surface because we prepped it properly. So next I want to talk about how we're going to seal our piece. And you have a couple of choices, and it's a complete personal choice. It depends on where this is going to be in your house. Typically in a kitchen or a bathroom, it's going to get wet, it's going to have a lot of traffic, so you may want to go with the Armor Seal. So Armor is actually a fantastic sealer for high traffic areas, and you're going to want to put 2 coats over your paint finish to make sure that you give it a nice, good protective coating. You can also use Granny B's Classic Seal. Classic Seal is a little bit of a more affordable alternative to sealing, and it works just as beautifully. And this we typically recommend for something that's not going to see as much traffic or, you know, as much moisture, so to speak. So I'm going to just show you quickly how to apply this. I usually like to decant my sealer into another container. And that way I don't contaminate the jar if anything were on my brush or anything was to come off from my surface. And again, I'm using my Hamilton synthetic brush, which you can also find through Granny B's and their retailers and their hardware stores all over southern part of Africa. And I'm just going to glide the sealer on just like that. And I'm just applying a nice even coat to the surface and making sure that it's nice and smooth. What's also wonderful about Granny B's products is they're self-leveling. So even if you see some brush strokes at first, they do just smooth themselves out. You don't have to worry. You don't have to keep going over and over again with the brush. Just let it dry and do its thing, and those brush marks will disappear. So no need to keep going over it. You don't want to overwork the paint or the sealer when applying with the brush. You can also apply the sealer to your surface with a foam roller as well. It's completely up to you. Of course, larger areas such as kitchens, when you're doing a lot of cabinets, a roller might be a nice choice just to help you apply it a little bit quicker than going over it with a brush. But you can see this is going over really nicely, really smoothly. Now you're going to want to let this dry and cure overnight for 24 hours, and then you can apply 1 more coat of sealer, and then you're good to go. And you want to do that with the Classic Seal and with the Armor as well. And the Armor also comes in a gloss as well. So it depends on the finish that you like. You have choices. The Classic Seal is a very beautiful, silky, smooth, satiny finish. So that's really nice. And it'll keep that old-fashioned chalk paint look going for you over your newly painted surfaces. Thank you so much for watching our video today on how to paint melamine using Granny B's old-fashioned paints and products. Be sure to visit our website to see all of the amazing things we have to offer, including stencils, tools, paints, any kind of medium that you would like to use on your upcoming projects. Go to grannyb.co.za and also find us on Facebook under Granny B's Old Fashioned Paints. Thanks so much.